Hello everyone and welcome back to AV Chess Lab, where we grow our chess knowledge together. If you're new here, my name is Dr. V, and if you want to improve your chess, please consider subscribing. As we do every morning, we're going to get our tactics in and get all the neurons firing, and we're starting right now. Alright, so welcome back and let's jump straight into it. So our first puzzle of the day, and I can already see that they are beginning to get quite a bit tougher, but this one is just a simple checkmate with rook to e5 check. And a very nice 16-point gain at the same time. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So here, what do we have? Okay, so I think we're just winning a piece after this series of moves. Okay. So the idea here in this puzzle is the fact that the only thing protecting this knight is the bishop on c8. So if we're able to remove it, then we can attack this knight at the same time. So that's what we did here. Knight takes c8, rook takes, and rook takes d7, winning a piece. Okay, so another 15 points in the bag. As we get closer to 900. Oof. Still 1,000 points away from that one. Okay, so the next one. All right, so this one I've seen before, or at least the concept, not the same position. But the idea is that the only thing protecting this bishop is the knight. So we're going to take there, then take the queen, and now take the bishop, and we're up a knight. So if you notice here, after we take the... No, well, first of all, the bishop is attacking our queen. But notice that if we remove the defender of the bishop, which is the knight, by bishop takes f3, we're also attacking the queen. So if he takes our bishop, we simply take his bishop and we end up a piece up anyways. So he takes our queen, we take his queen. If he moves his bishop out, we simply move our bishop out the way as well. And in case, as in the game, if he just captures our bishop, we capture his, and we end up a knight ahead. Okay, so very nice puzzle, and everyone should remember that concept, that little tactic. Okay, so what do we have here? What is going on? There's just so many pieces on the board, it makes it almost hard to come up with a move. So bishop here doesn't quite work. Maybe it does. Queen takes, knight check, king here takes, and he just escapes. So what is the move? Believe it or not, I'm having a hard time finding the move here. I'm a minute into this thing and I cannot figure it out. Okay, let's just go for knight check. And here it feels like we should have something. Okay, and then queen checkmate. Not sure why that took me so long to find, but okay. The idea was that after knight check and king there, after we take here, queen, anywhere the king goes, it gets checkmated on the next move. So if king to e3, for example, we simply play queen to f2 and it's checkmate. Notice that the queen covers that square and this square for where the king will go, and this bishop here covers all this diagonal, so the king cannot go to here or here. And also the queen covers this square and this square. So it will be checkmate. And then if he just continues like in the game with king to d1, we simply take advantage that this bishop also controls here, and we play queen to c2 checkmate. All right, so very nice, and it took a little bit longer, but we found it. Okay, so this next one, what is happening? And already the fact that we're taking such a long time to figure out some of these moves means that the puzzles are getting finally a little bit tougher to come up with. But here we simply attack both pieces with our bishop, and we win a free knight. So very nice. This one doesn't need a lot of explanation, just the fact that a piece attacks, the bishop attacks the two pieces, and we simply just win one of them. Okay, so next one. Here, we're going to take advantage of the fact that the only thing protecting this rook is the king, and the king is very exposed, so we can just throw in a check here. And no matter where the king goes, we're going to take this rook, probably with a check. So, for example, if the king moves here, that will be just checkmate there. And if the king moves here, we simply give a check on d1, the king moves out the way, and we capture the rook with our queen. Okay, so moving on to the next one. All right, so this either loses the queen or the game finishes in a beautiful checkmate. So we're just going to throw in this check in between, take the queen and take the rook. And that check doesn't mean much, we just move our king out of the way. So let's go back to the original position. Notice that both this rook and the queen are being attacked by this rook here. The other concept is that there is a back rank threat. So if after this check, the queen cannot capture because rook takes e1 checkmate. So the only way to actually save the game is to recapture the knight with the queen, with the pawn, and after we take the queen, he simply doesn't have this intermediate check because the queen covers that square. So after he just captures, we capture the other rook, and this is an easy win. All right, so good. We're broken into the 900 club. Let's do a few more. So what do we have here? I think this problem is all about a deflection. Notice that if we can capture this bishop with check, we're also going to be able to capture this rook after. So by playing bishop to b4, which is pinning the queen, the bishop, white has to capture the bishop, and we simply now capture on c1 and capture on h1, winning a rook. So if we go back to this position, for example, notice that this bishop is pinning the queen to the king. So the only way to save it will be something like knight to c3. But if knight to c3 is played, we simply just capture the knight, and it's still the same thing happening. And in this case, he cannot save his queen any longer. So very nice. Very nice puzzle with the concept of deflection. Okay, so let's move on to this one here. And I think the idea here is that after this check, okay, so I guess they just decided to go for this mess. Okay, but let's go back so you can understand the idea. The idea here is that if this king now decides to move out of the way, we can simply just collect some of the pieces with knight here check, followed by knight to e1, taking the rook as well. And we'll be up plenty of material for the troubles. Although I honestly do not understand why the queen had to be sacrificed. I think there's a lot more resistance if you simply go to f1 after. But okay, this is what the computer decided to play. So who am I to mess with that? Okay, so let's go on to the next one here. And this just seems like a straightforward, maybe it's not so straightforward. Okay, it is straightforward. Okay, so we have a check on d8 followed by a check here on f6, and this simply just wins the game by checkmate. So no matter where the king goes, it's going to be checkmate either in 1 or 2 moves. Okay, so let's go to the next one. All right, so the threat right now is we're being checkmated on g2. So the only way to protect that would be to go here, or to just simply take the knight, which I don't see anything wrong with, since it doesn't matter any check anywhere with the queen. We simply move our king out of the way, and nothing else is happening. All right. So what do we have here? Okay, so for starters, we have a check. King goes there, and then we can throw in another check. Okay, so it's probably this check, and we take here, and we're threatening both this bishop with our pawn and the queen. So we're going to be up plenty of material here. Now notice something in this previous move. If the king decides to go back to g1, we simply push the pawn forward again. And here we're attacking the knight with our pawn and the queen with the bishop and checkmate on g2. So it'll be very hard to protect against all three of them. And the only way to protect against the checkmate, which is the most important one, is to go after king to h1. You play pawn to f3, then you have to go rook to g1. And here we simply just take the rook with check, and then take the queen with the bishop, and we're going to be up an exchange. Okay, so moving on to this next one. And I'm guessing the idea here is that white needs to draw the game. And the only thing I can come up with is that both pawns actually queen at the same time. Unless there's something else. But since I don't see something else, I think we can simply just capture the pawn. And from here, I think it's just a race to see who gets there first. So it should just be, this game should just be a draw. Not sure why they created a puzzle about it. So I'm not going to make there's nothing nothing extra to say here. So both pawns will queen simultaneously. Oh, okay, I see. So no, white does win. White does win. So here, oh no, it's just both of them queen at the same time. If it was white to move, white actually wins. But okay, it is black to move. So what do we have here? I think we can just win this queen by giving this check. And after takes, and the game is over. All right, let's go on to this one. So I have a feeling that there's going to be some kind of checkmate on g3. So after this queen check, the only move that white has is to start blocking with his pieces. So he'll first give us this free rook, which we'll take. Then he'll give us this free rook, which we'll take. Then he'll play g3, and we're going to take it with our queen checkmate. So there's not much in this position but that. All right, let's do 5 more of these. All right, so what to do here? So the first thing that comes to my mind is this bishop move here, and honestly, it looks like the best move. And here we simply capture, and we up a rook. All right. All right, what about this one? What about this move? Can we get away with pawn to d2? But then he simply has rook d1. He simply has rook d1, and what to do after that? We have a bishop to c2, rook takes, and queen check. Seems to win the game. So we're gonna go for it. Okay, so he just decided to play like this, in which case he's going to be down a piece. But notice that if instead rook takes, we simply give a check on h1, and there's no way to protect against checkmate. So he has to give us all the pieces. Okay, so let's get another one in. So I think we can get away with pinning the queen, since if he takes my queen first, I capture with check and then take the bishop, and we will be up material. So here we are. We will end up a bishop ahead. So very nice. Let's get a couple more. And I think I know I've seen this position before. I believe maybe when I was starting to play chess, I fell for this on more than one occasion. So here, this just leads to a checkmate. And I believe that opening comes out of a Caro-Kann, if I'm not mistaken, in which there's white sacrifices a pawn, I believe, for quick development. And as you can see, this bishop is a very strong pawn, right, on h7. So it's one of the reasons why this maneuver can happen. Okay, so let's try one more. And this, I have a feeling that it has something to do with a queen sacrifice. So let's see if that is the case. So he takes, we take on h6, king comes to g7, we give a check on g6, king goes back, and we give a check on h3, winning the game. So yep, it is just that simple. All right, well, let's do one more since we're so close to 1100. I wouldn't want to just go home if we're just 10 points away from that magical 1100 rating. Okay, so what do we have here? What do we have here? All right, I think I understand the concept, but how do we actually make it work? Because the thing is, if we go queen b2, his only move is to go knight check, but then we can just capture the knight. So it will be winning a free piece. So it has to be that move because we're also threatening checkmate on b7. So, all right, not too bad. I wish I would have seen it a bit faster, but this works as well. And with that puzzle, we get to 1100 and we're doing great so far, and we're moving up the ladder quite nicely. So thank you for watching. And as always, hope you guys stay safe. Have a wonderful day to your day. And remember to always respect your opponent. See you next time.